So we're going to talk about how plants make babies. And it's like crazy. It's a process called alternation of generations. And all plants, almost all, whenever you say all, I automatically go, I'm sure there's an exception, and I'm sure there is, but I don't know. But they do this form of a life cycle that is really, really wild. And I'm going to, of course, compare this to the human life cycle. So I want you on your paper, we're going to draw a picture of the human life cycle first, just so that we have in our heads like a context for how plant sex occurs. And it's really weird. But in typical rig style, I'm like, it's so freaking cool. So all of us, plants and us, have a haploid part of the, life cycle. Yes, do you agree with that? As well as a diploid part of the life cycle. We are diploid. Remember, diploid means we have 2 copies of every chromosome, but our sperm and eggs are haploid. So we actually have a haploid part of our reproductive, our life cycle. There's a haploid stage in our life cycle. So let's draw a picture of what this looks like and remind ourselves of all the parts and pieces. So let's do a diploid adult. And it might be interesting for you to try to remember, like push pause and see if you can come up with all the pieces of the human life cycle, because we actually talked about it a whole bunch of times in this class. And you can start with this diploid adult and then include meiosis and mitosis, because these are the processes that give rise to various parts of our life cycle. So include those in there. Okay. You stop, go, what? You're back. I'm so happy to see you. So check yourself. The adult critter goes through its life and eventually, am I right, will go through the process of meiosis and produce gametes. My red and blue are not very close together. So gametes are haploid. Yes? And in order to get there, we had to go through the process of meiosis. Well, when you have 2 different gametes that then combine, right? Like you can imagine 2 gametes combine and form a single cell, which of course has to be blue because it will now be diploid. This is a zygote, and it is diploid, right? So the haploid gametes, the sperm and the egg, combine in the process of, let's go ahead and just label it, fertilization. So we had a sperm and we had an egg. We combine those through fertilization, and now we have a diploid zygote. And then that diploid zygote goes through the process of mitosis, right? And produces an adult critter that then goes through the process of meiosis to make the gametes. That's all super straightforward. Are we all on the same page? Well, let's talk about this alternation of generations with animals. I mean, plants. Plants are doing alternation of generations. They also have an adult diploid critter, and it has a special name. It is called a sporophyte. So go ahead and write that down. An adult diploid critter called a sporophyte. Our adult form doesn't have a special name that I know of. That adult critter actually does go through the process of meiosis, just like you would expect. Meiosis. So far, so good. We just have a new name for this thing. We know the process of meiosis results in haploid cells, but sporophytes make spores. They are haploid, just like you would expect. They're analogous to, similar to, in the same place as the our haploid gametes. But they're called spores because they're produced by the sporophyte. Here's where it gets so cool. Are you ready? They're like sperm and eggs. They're haploid spores, like sperm and eggs, but they grow up into haploid grown-ups. I'm not joking. You get a haploid adult. And in fact, you get two of them. You get a female haploid grown-up and a male haploid grown-up. And these are called, I'm going to write it up here for you, these are called gametophytes. Gametophytes. And I just want you to take a second. You can have a male gametophyte, you can have a female gametophyte. And they actually go through, this is cool, they will go through the process of mitosis to produce gametes, which are still haploid. So we get gametes from gametophytes. But stop, they're adults. It would be like our sperm and eggs, like we gave birth to our sperm and eggs and they grew up to multicellular walking around critters in the world. If we had an alternation of generations, we would have giant sperm and eggs, like adult grown multicellular sperm and eggs walking around that would eventually produce gametes. Cool. But before they produced gametes, they're grown-ups. I don't know. I think that is so freaking cool. Then normalcy takes back over. Gametes combine in the process of fertilization. We end up with a zygote, which now is diploid, which goes through mitosis to produce an adult sporophyte. Okay, dude, I think that's really cool. And it probably is worth your time to figure out the colors, to highlight the similarities between the animal life cycle and the plant life cycle, and to visualize these haploid adults and these diploid adults, a gametophyte adult and a sporophyte adult. You might be looking at me going like, oh my God, what are you talking about, Riggs? Why? I'm going to show you some pictures that will help you visualize these adult critters, because a lot of what you see around you is either a sporophyte or a gametophyte, and we can create a little more concrete example of that. Okay, stay tuned.